Hey, I'm excited to talk about the 55th annual Chicago International Film Festival, which is running through October 27th, 2019 at the AMC River East Theaters at 322 East Illinois Street. In this podcast, what I want to do is give an overview of some of the activities at the festival. So even if you've not attended or don't expect to attend, I think you'll get some good insight into this event and also learn about some films that you might want to see when they hit general release, or seek them out online, or wherever you like to watch movies. This is Reno Lovison, executive producer at ChicagoBroadcastingNetwork.com. By the way, if you need video production for your business or organization, check out RenoWeb.net. Yes, activity. Well, the wind is picking up all day, oh yeah. It is driving to the liquor store. Yes, the lake with the sun, all 5244. So, I've been going to the Chicago International Film Festival for many years now, and I'm always excited to see a lot of unusual films and films that are in new release that ultimately show up in your local movie theaters, but you get to see them, for the first time. The one that stands out in my mind right now is Slumdog Millionaire, which premiered at the Chicago Film Festival a few years back. In this case, I started out the week with opening night red carpet featuring Chicago producer Gigi Pritzker and Chicago director Jennifer Reeder, talking about the film festival overall and their films Motherless Brooklyn and Knives and Skin. Let me tell you a little bit about each of those films. Motherless Brooklyn stars and is directed by Edward Norton. The blurb says, Lionel Esrog, played by Edward Norton, a lonely private detective living with Tourette syndrome, ventures to solve the murder of his mentor and only friend, Frank Minna, played by Bruce Willis. Armed only with a few clues and the engine of his obsessive mind, Lionel unravels closely guarded secrets that hold the fate of New York in the balance. So this is kind of a mystery that carries him from gin-soaked jazz clubs in Harlem to the hard-edged slums of Brooklyn. This is really the key piece of the film festival. It's the opening night movie, and of course it's particularly exciting because of the fact that it is starring Ed Norton and directed by him as well. But you're going to hear more about that film from just about everybody who talks about the festivals. So I won't go into it too much further at this point. Jennifer Reeder's film, Knives and Skin, is produced in and around Chicago. And the blurb for that says, in this mystical Twin Peaks teen noir, the disappearance of a high school student points to dark forces at work in a sleepy Illinois town. So this is a kind of a horror mystery from what I've heard. And again, you'll be hearing a little bit more about that from Jennifer herself as well as other people. After the opening night, my next day began with an early morning 10 o'clock special press viewing of a movie called Hogar, which means house or residence. In Spanish, the word hogar, from what I understand, is sort of like the word casa. But interestingly here, the movie's been translated with the English title Maternal. Once you see the movie, of course, you get the idea why. This is a movie that is familiar on a few levels, in as much as it's a movie about a special hogar or home for pregnant teens, and really looks at maternal love through the eyes of three different characters. One character, the main character, Lou, is she's a very angry individual and really pretty much in denial about her situation. Her maternal instincts towards her daughter are, let's say, not very well developed. And this is contrasted by her good friend, Fatima, who is really sort of taking the lessons that she's picking up here in the Hogar from the nuns that run the establishment, and really beginning to see that she needs to change her life and that she needs to take steps to make a better life for herself and her children. The third character is a young novitiate who has not yet taken her vows. That's Sister Paula. And she comes in sort of as a wide-eyed innocent and probably ready to save the world and help these mothers and so on, and finds that this is a pretty difficult task. There's a lot of sort of damaged individuals, people who have a variety of needs. When she finds herself up against the situation with Lou and Lou's apparent neglect of her daughter, Sister Paula steps in and starts to sort of take over the maternal role. And this is sort of where this story goes. I plan to do a full review of this movie, so I won't go any further into it, but it definitely was a very well-acted movie with very strong character roles, and definitely worth taking a look at. About an hour later, after I saw that movie, was The 20th Century. That movie, to me, is on the verge of indescribable. I kind of call it Monty Python meets Dr. Terwilliger. It's sort of visually, well, it is visually bizarre. The story itself is unusual. And I have to say that it was that I was pretty tired when I watched this movie, and I sort of had the feeling like, am I having a dream or is this an actual movie? That being said, it definitely it was enjoyable. It definitely was something that I appreciated seeing. Great visuals, really outlandish story that takes place in Canada and has a lot of what I assume are inside jokes for Canadians. And I have a feeling if you're Canadian, you would find this movie absolutely hysterical. I thought it was very funny and very enjoyable, but probably really missed the depth of some of these jokes. The blurb in the catalog for the film festival says that this is an outrageously weird and funny faux historical drama about the rise of Canadian Prime Minister William Lyon Mackenzie Keane in the 1920s, reimagined as some kind of Dali-esque fever dream by way of Monty Python. But you can take that as you will. But I will say that I recommend both of these two movies that I saw, Hogar and the 20th Century, as a solid 2 eyeballs on my 4 eyeball scale. That is that, these are movies that you're probably not going to find in a mainstream movie theater anytime soon. Perfect film festival movies because they're unusual, well made, and enjoyable, but probably not created for a mainstream audience. Now, of course, this is ChicagoBroadcastingNetwork.com, and so it's really important to us that we have a Chicago spin on the podcasts and articles and blog posts that we create, because we're all about Chicago. And of course, we're covering the Chicago International Film Festival because as a Chicago event, I mean, it deserves to be covered just for that. But in addition to that, I like to sort of see where there's a Chicago spin in terms of what's happening at the festival or at any event that we cover. And in this case, there are a number of films at the festival that either have Chicago themes or were produced in Chicago. These include a documentary, The First Rainbow Coalition, which I am planning to see and will probably comment on in a later podcast. There's 2 horror movies, one called The Girl on the Third Floor, and the other one is called Knives and Skin, both produced in Chicago, as well as Hala, The New Bauhaus, and The Torch, which is directed by Jim Farrell about Chicago blues legend Buddy Guy. And I'm sure that's one that we're going to see around town quite a bit after the festival. My good friend, storyteller, and radio personality Joanne Schochat offered to record a brief introduction to the film festival, which we recorded in the festival lobby. Joanne offers tips on where to park and how to take public transportation, as well as how she picks her movies and some of the films she chose this year. So let's take a listen to Joanne Schochat and her Chicago Film Festival tips.
Hello, everyone. This is Joanne Schochat. This is my 4th year of attending Chicago's International Film Festival, and I'm delighted to share with you some tips, especially if you're somebody who always wanted to attend but felt like it was too intimidating to just show up and go to movies that you knew nothing about. So what I'd like to do today is cover 2 main things. One is transportation to get here and selecting the movies for yourself, and then, getting the tickets, okay? So let's talk about transportation first. So let's start with where we are. We're at the AMC River East 21 Theater Complex at 322 East Illinois Street in Chicago, Illinois. There's 21 theaters here. So once you arrive here, your travel decisions are over. All your movies are in this one complex. Yay, you've arrived, okay? So if you decide to take a car, your big thing is going to be where to park the car. AMC has a parking garage connected with it immediately to the west of the theater entrance. It's tight, so you might want to leave your Cadillac Escalade and your Hummer at home, but if you got a Fiat, it's perfect. Once you park, make sure you take that parking ticket with you because there's validated parking in the festival itself. You'll want to get the validation before you see the movie. The validation is discount parking. So if you're going to be here for a long time, like for 8 hours or more, you want to have your validation completed at the festival information desk that's immediately next to the box office. If it's 4 hours or less, you go to guest services on the 3rd floor. If you exceed your validation period, you'll have to pay the full freight for parking. Now, a little birdie told me that Spot Hero is a great resource for finding some inexpensive parking. So I think that's the most complicated part of this whole process. I like to take public transportation here, and my tip to you is to go online to transitchicago.com. That's transitchicago.com. And you can get turn-by-turn directions from your point of origin, home or wherever, to 322 East Illinois Street. They'll tell you exactly what bus or what L train to take. It also has RTA directions. Anyway, what I'll do is move on to how you get your tickets. Now, there's something very new this year that I'm delighted to share with you, that if you order your tickets online, there's no additional charge to the face cost of the ticket. You can buy the tickets online at the face cost of the ticket, even using your credit card. So that makes it very handy. But I think the big thing is, how do you select the movies that you're going to watch? So this is what I do. This is one approach. And that certainly isn't the answer to everyone's issue. First, I look at my personal calendar to see what days and times I'm going to be here at the AMC. I like to use the paper catalog, and I find the schedule in there for the days and the times that I can make it. On a separate piece of paper, I write down every single movie title that works with my availability. And then I go back to the paper catalog and I look up the description of every one of those movies. Now, this is probably a nerdy thing to do, but what I do is I rate those movies based on those descriptions on a scale of 0 through 3. 0 through 3, and I put it on an Excel spreadsheet. 3 means try to see this movie at all costs. 2 is this is a fill-in movie if there's not enough 3s. 0 is avoid this movie. So what I do is rate all those movies, and then I can sort my sheet according to ratings and time of day, and then I fill in my final schedule that has all the movies I'm going to see and what the times are and their titles. So here's how I decide my personal criteria. If the phrase coming of age is in there, like as a coming of age movie, it gets a 0. I don't want a coming-of-age movie. I lived through it once. I lived through it 2 more times with my kids. That's enough pain, okay? But now if it's a movie from the East Bloc, that's going to be a 3. I like those movies. So you'll have your own criteria on that. Last year when I came to the movie theater, I brought a friend with me who said, just pick out whatever movies you want to see. So I picked him out, and as we're going through the list at the show, he looks at the list and says, these are all from the East Block. Like, he's surprised. I don't know why. Okay, so this Friday I'm planning on seeing Initials SG. It's a comedy involving a series of unfortunate events with a guy in anger management staged in Argentina. And then Whistlers. It's a bunch of corrupt cops who've learned this Aborigine whistling language from the Canary Islands, and that's how they're communicating with each other. And of course, it's set in Romania, so it should be good. There's a movie called Out of Tune. It has to do with singers, and I have an interest in music, so I thought that would be something to take a look at. I think it's some convicts who are involved with some kind of musical production. How about that? Those Who Remain is a story about survivors from the Holocaust. And the last movie I'm going to see is Oleg, because it's from Poland. Well, it's important because my roots, my heritage, and ancestral roots are there, and I feel an affinity toward those folks when I see those movies. You can find all this information online at chicagofilmfestival.com, and you can make your selections there. It's a great night out. I have found that the foreign movies are extremely well done, so it is worth your time to see these foreign films and see what other people on the face of the earth have to offer.
All I can do is say thanks to Joanne for those great ideas. Actually, I think I get credit for having introduced her to the film festival several years ago when I gave her a call and said, hey, why don't you come and see a couple of films with me? And she met up with me, and we saw some together. And now here she is, an avid Chicago Film Festival participant and correspondent. To sort of expand on some of the tips that Joanne gave, I'll just briefly say that actually I pick my movies quite similarly, which is that I go through the festival catalog, I draw a circle around the ones that look like they're of interest to me. Then I go back and look at the schedule and see what options there are in terms of when those films are playing. I tend to pick afternoon films because I have a flexible schedule. They are, by the way, discounted in the afternoon. You can usually get a better price on them. And then once I figure out the times and dates that I plan to attend, then I make a little schedule for myself and follow that schedule. By the way, as far as buying tickets, you can, of course, as Joanne indicated, you can buy tickets online, or you can go down to the box office at AMC. They set up a separate box office on the side for the film festival, and you can just go with your catalog and say, here's the 10 or 12 or 15 films that I want to see. And by the way, I like to say that the fun of going to any film festival, certainly the Chicago International Film Festival, but any film festival, is the sort of crazy idea of seeing 3 or 4 or 5 films all in one day. 3 is usually pretty good. When you see more than 3, your eyes are going to start getting a little crazy, and you're going to wonder what day it is and where you are. But seeing 3 films in a day I find to be pretty manageable, and it adds to that fun of being at the festival and being able to immerse yourself in a number of different experiences. The final segment of this podcast is going to be a recording I did at the festival opening night with Connie Wilson, who's the author of It Came from the 70s, From the Godfather to Apocalypse Now. And she's a movie reviewer for themovieblog.com. Connie is a very experienced movie reviewer and does a really great job of fairly quickly going over a number of films that she had a chance to preview, as well as talk about some of the films that she's planning to see at the festival. So let's take a listen to Connie Wilson and her overview of the Chicago International Film Festival.
Hi, I'm Connie Wilson. I'm here in Chicago at the AMC Theater for the 55th Chicago International Film Festival, which I have covered, I think, every year since 1999, and more impressively, I've been writing film reviews since 1970 uninterruptedly. Plug for my book, it came from the 70s, From The Godfather to Apocalypse Now. At any rate, I'm here now because the film festival kicks off tonight. They'll have a red carpet shortly at 6:30, and I will be there watching all the celebrities who may or may not appear for Motherless Brooklyn, which is based on the Jonathan Lethem book and was my favorite book for at least 10 years and is going to be brought to the screen by Ed Norton, the actor and now director. Co-star Bruce Willis. So I'm looking forward to that. And then following that will be Zombieland Double Tap that all of you have been seeing advertised on your TV, I'm sure, with Woody Harrelson and the gang back to give us zombies abroad in the land. But on another level, I've actually seen about 6 films because they let us see them early, and that's always fun. And I want to recommend an Iranian film, Just 6.5, which deals with drug amount. It's a fantastic opener, 8 minutes of pure adrenaline. Best opening I've seen since a movie called Shallow Grave many, many years ago. I also have seen Clemency. There is another film called Mercy, but this one was Clemency, Alfre Woodard. She is the warden, female, black prison warden, and has to preside over the execution of not one but 2 inmates. Take a lot of booze for that one. That one's a bit of a, tough go, but it won at Sundance. It was a big favorite at Sundance. And I saw The Whistlers, which is going to be the official Czech Republic entry for the Academy Awards. Very strange movie about learning a obscure Aborigine whistling language so that crooks can communicate. I wasn't as high on it as the others were or seemed to be. It was okay. And I did watch an hour of interviews because it played Cannes, and I watched the director talking about it and how he came up with this bizarre idea. And it's a pretty bizarre film overall. A little hard to follow, but well done. Another one I've seen. This I really liked. I'm not sure whether I liked the ending, but it's a beautifully, professionally done film from South Africa for horror buffs, and it is called 8. But they had to add a South African horror tale. They couldn't just call it 8, which was their goal. It's just such beautiful cinematography. That's really the best part. And the plot, kind of one of those you've seen before about someone who has to go around stealing the souls of others for their misdeeds. Okay, but just beautiful cinematography. Very good acting from the lead, who is an African villager in the film. Female lead's not quite as strong, but a little girl named Mary, plot name. She's a very pretty little girl. Could have been a little stronger in her acting, but I read it was her very first film, and certainly it's a lovely film. Very, very professional. And there's going to be a Chicago horror movie called Girl on the Third Floor. Now, that one I have not seen, but it's all Chicago people, and they're floating around and available for interviews, and I'll be seeing that one late at night. I think tomorrow night, if I'm not mistaken. They start at like 10:30, 11 at night. Others on my list, Ford versus Ferrari. I'm sure you are aware of the ads running with Christian Bale and Matt Damon. This is how Ford wanted to go up against Ferrari and challenge them in the racing world. Good idea. Ordinary Love, I'm going to see. This is for we old folks. It's Liam Neeson in a love story, and I couldn't resist. Jojo Rabbit they've added another showing. Jojo Rabbit was the audience favorite in Toronto. So I guess it's received so much interest that one and the one called Knives Out have had extra films added. Knives Out is an homage to the Agatha Christie murder mysteries. Everyone is gathered in the room, and who killed the father of the clan, that sort of thing. Lots of big names in it. Daniel Craig is the inspector, all kinds of other people that are suspects in this murder. I'm looking forward. I saw already Foreman versus Foreman. I was looking forward to it because it's all about Milos Forman. It's a documentary. It was 78 minutes, and minutes spent well. I didn't know most of what I learned about Milos Forman. Was not aware of his rather tragic past. And I enjoyed it. It was pretty good. I would recommend that one as well if you like documentaries. Later in the week, I've been told that Love Child is a good one. Haven't seen it, but I'm looking forward to it. And I will be taking on the Seberg one. Don't know about that one, but Jean Seberg was from Marshalltown, Iowa. We all probably, if we're old enough, we remember that she was selected in a huge talent search to play Joan of Arc. And then life went into the dumper after that. I think she had a very untimely end, and it was sad, and there's a big story behind the name. Beyond that, I'm going to see whether I can make it through the entire run of The Irishman, 3 hours and 40 minutes. That one could be a little rough. It's going to be on Netflix almost immediately in November, so the smart thing probably would have been to wait. But I'm going to try to sit through all the way through The Irishman, unless I leave to see Vast of Night, which looked really good, about mysterious signals coming over the radio, and all of the people in it are going to investigate. And that one is going to interrupt the end of The Irishman, so there'll be a decision made then. The Apollo, they'll be showing The Apollo to jury members and critics one morning coming up, and I'm looking forward to The Apollo, which is about the Apollo in Harlem. Others I am looking forward to but haven't seen. Marriage Story, that's supposed to be a big one for the Oscars. And it is, as its name suggests, about a marriage coming apart under the influence of pressure with Scarlett Johansson and Adam Driver. And I will be trying to see if I can find anything more out about several films that I've requested screeners for. The screeners I have actually seen would include the South African Horror Story, as mentioned, and which is good. I got a little bit of a jump on that one. And, of course, Clemency. There is another one that is going to be playing, which I will be taking in, called Just Mercy. So, excuse me when I get these mixed up, but every year there's one word that repeats. It's either mercy or justice or knives, and then there's 10 films with this word in the title. Just Mercy, I believe, is the Jamie Foxx one, and the new hot star off of, Michael B. Jordan is going to be trying to get Jamie out of prison for the crime he has supposedly committed, probably has not committed. Another one I'm going to take in, which may or may not be good, but I plan to see A Thief's Daughter. That's a foreign film, 102 minutes. Looked interesting, and the write-up was interesting. So if you're interested in seeing or hearing any of my reviews, you can go to my blog, which is weeklywilson.com, or you can also look on the movieblog.com. Thank you for tuning in, and I would say get down here and get some tickets.
So, as I said, this podcast is part one from the Chicago International Film Festival. We're planning an end-of-festival podcast next week where we will talk about what we saw and how things went in general, and plan to have Connie and Joanne back with me for that podcast. Keep in mind, as I mentioned before, that many of these films will be available in theaters soon on Netflix, through various entities on Roku, or wherever you like to view films. So even if you miss them at the festival, you can still find most of them someplace and check them out for yourself. So this is Reno Lovison, executive producer and regular theater reviewer at ChicagoBroadcastingNetwork.com, and now first-time official movie reviewer covering the Chicago International Film Festival. Go to our website to see some of our video coverage, and be sure to subscribe if you want to be notified when new content is added. And always, if you need video production for your business or organization, check out renoweb.net. Hey, thanks to Steve Solomon for the use of Foster Avenue Beach as our theme song.
That's okay. We're going home.